Alright guys, so as you guys had asked, wanted to go through the map of Welgevonden Game Reserve to just sort of give you guys an indication of where we've been, the overall size of the reserve. It's always very difficult to conceptualize the size of a park. So interestingly enough, we're based in the far western sector of the reserve, up here, close to the western boundary of the park. So over the last 2 days with you guys, we've managed to traverse almost only this central portion of the reserve here is what we've seen. This entire northern and what we would refer to as the southern sector of the reserve, we haven't even got close to over the last couple of days. Interestingly enough, we had the privilege of seeing leopard yesterday. We saw the leopard here at what we call Fig Tree Plains. If you guys remember that big open area with the lovely big trees, that was just over here, and that's the furthest we've traveled over the last few days. We then also got lucky and we managed to see some lions. We saw the lions again a little bit up this road here, close to this open area around what we would refer to as the central area of the reserve. And then again, we had some lovely cheetah sighting the other day, which was pretty much right here next to the house, close to home. It wasn't more than 5 to 10 minutes away from the lodge, is where we saw those beautiful cheetah climbing trees and having a bit of fun in the bush there. In terms of Welgevonden as a game reserve, we're just shy of 40,000 hectares, which is a sizable reserve considering it's completely privately owned. Reserves that are larger than us are predominantly national parks or provincial parks board reserves. We have the benefit of Welgevonden is that we're pretty much surrounded by either smaller game reserves or national parks. So if you have a look along the bottom southwestern corner of the reserve, it says Marakele National Park. They border directly against us. So there's an entire area of wilderness section down to the southwest of us as well. And then if you have a look along these boundaries here that aren't highlighted, this is all wilderness area still, private game farms, smaller game areas, etc., that border the reserve. And the really nice thing with that is that Welgevonden is sort of nestled in amongst all of these private areas as well as national parks, which gives us such a benefit to the wildlife that we have in the reserve. In terms of Welgevonden and current game populations, if you have a look at these slightly green highlighted sections of the map here, those indicate what we would refer to as grasslands or plains sort of areas. And if you guys remember the other day, you asked me where we were, and we referred to that as set-top plains, which is those nice big grassy open areas. The rest of the reserve is fairly mountainous, a lot of valleys and small riverine areas and things like that. And the amazing thing with the diversity of terrain within the reserve, it gives us different areas for different niche animal species that we have. Naturally, cheetah would prefer to stick towards these open grassland areas, but it doesn't mean that they don't traverse through the valleys and over the mountains to get to new grassland sections and grassland areas. In terms of the overall game population of Welgevonden, we're very fortunate to have the full big five, including cheetah, in the park. Our lion population at the moment, we estimate roughly around 12 to 13 lions in Welgevonden currently, and that will fluctuate over time. The unfortunate scenario and the reality of having wilderness areas like this is that we do need to manage the populations. So we take a fairly appropriate stance on our lions. Some of the females will be given contraceptives for a period of time, some not, and we allow them to breed, but we want to just manage the overall breeding rate of our predators. Cheetah, for example, cheetah is an endangered species, of course, which Welgevonden does very, very well with. We have a good, healthy population of cheetah in this reserve. We've been very fortunate that a lot of our cheetah, when we all talk about excess cheetah, maybe have too many, we relocate to reserves throughout Southern Africa. We've sent cheetah to Malawi. We've had cheetah go to Medikwe and a number of other parks in the country. And it's a key position for what we would refer to as a meta population. Obviously, with the cheetah being endangered species, one of the big concerns is the dwindling genetic pool and the reduction in the overall population of cheetah. So by us being able to trade or swap a cheetah with other reserves and things like that, it helps us to keep the gene pool fairly diverse and help to bolster populations in other parts and in other areas of Southern Africa. In terms of elephant, Welgevonden currently, the last kind of count on elephant, we estimate the population to between 130 and 150 elephant, which is a good population for the size of park. One of the big things is the minute elephant populations exceed certain numbers, they become very, very destructive. And that has adverse effects on other animals and other game populations and things like that. So again, with the elephants, we have to monitor the numbers very closely. We obviously want them to breed and we would like them to develop in numbers, but again, we don't want this overall spike and climb in numbers. In terms of entrances into the park, there are 4 different entrances into Welgevonden, obviously accessible from different roads. The one that you guys would have driven past on the tar road is the main gate. That's pretty much where our overall office's central block, where all our administration people stay, etc., etc. And the other 3 gates are purely entrance gates to get into lodges in the reserve. We have a gate in the east, we have another gate down in the south here, and of course the west gate, which is the one you guys came through. In terms of security and accessibility from an emergency standpoint, we do have 3 runways in the reserve, airstrips that we can make use of. Some people fly in on small charter aircrafts, etc., etc. There's one here at the main gate, the main offices. There's again this one which we drove past a few times here, and then we have one in the eastern sector, which is a grass runway which we use for emergency purposes only. So yeah, I hope that gives you guys a little bit of an idea of the reserve, the map, and as I say, it's a vast area that you would need to spend a considerable amount of time trying to explore the entire park. I mean, I've been here for many, many years, and I can assure you there are still certain areas of this reserve that I've never been to. Although I've probably driven every road, but there's still sectors that I have not seen with my own eyes. Which is amazing to think that you've got a reserve this size that you can spend years in and not see it. Alright, cool. Alright, thank you very much, guys. Thank you.